Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is Bruna. Today we are going to be making the cutest, the most beautiful bag I ever seen in my life, made out of granny squares. Isn't this the cutest bag ever? This is the best fabric for lining your bag that I ever seen in my life. You will see by the end of the video why. I'm so impressed. It has some little snap fasteners so you can close and maintain your bag nice and secure. And also with the most stunning chain strap that I ever seen. Everything about this bag is just absolutely stunning. I'm so impressed and so in love. So enjoy the video everyone, and let's learn how to crochet this stunning beautiful bag. So here's everything I'm going to be using to crochet and to make our beautiful granny square bag. Starting with the yarns I'm using here, I have 4 different shades of the Amanda 5, and all the tools and everything I'm going to be using will be in the description, as well as all the shades that I'm using here for the bag. You will need then a 2mm hook, tapestry needle, small pair of scissors, measuring tape, some pins so that we can pin things together and sew. I'm going to be also doing a lining for this bag, so you will need a lining fabric. This one is also by Teslan.com and this one is 100% cotton. You will need thread and needle. Also, I'm using my sewing machine to sew the lining closed, but you can also do by hand, and I have a video on that. I'll link in the description below. Fabric pen, fabric scissors. You will need a strap. You can do the strap by hand with crochet, or you can also use a super beautiful strap that Teslan makes. They have a variety of straps you don't understand. They are known to make things for crochet bags. They have everything for crochet bags, so I'm going to be linking a few that I recommend and that I think is going to look nice with this bag. If you want to check it out, check the description. And then the last thing I'm going to be using will be a little magnet so that we can add for the closure of the bag. So this is everything I'm using for now. If I add anything else throughout the video, I'll be linking in the description. So now let's begin with this beautiful bag. First, I'm going to be talking about the 2 panels that it's already made right here that I've posted in yesterday's video. So first you're going to be making 2 panels like these ones with squares, and that's why I've shared with you how to join, because I didn't want to add a lot in this video. So if you want to learn how to crochet the granny squares plus how to join the squares together into a panel like this one or this one, I'm going to be leaving both videos in the little eye right here and also in the description. So for the bigger panel that you're going to be making, we'll have 20 granny squares. Each of these granny squares are 6 by 6 centimeters, so they are quite tiny, and also they have only 4 rounds in total. Remember that you can make the square as big or as small as you want. The bigger the square, the bigger the bag, the smaller the square, the smaller the bag. So the length of this panel, I'm going to be measuring from one square to the other. It's 30 centimeters, as you can see. And then the width, it's around 25 centimeters in total. And then you will make another panel, but this time it's going to be smaller, which is this one. And it's going to have only 12 squares. And then the length for this one, it's 19 centimeters. So once you have the panels completed, we are going to now create the sides of the bag that is gonna go around, so that we can create the side, the bottom, and the other side of the bag. So I'm going to show you how I made this. So with the first shade you wanna use, make a slip knot and chain 4. So we are going to be using the chain 1 right at the beginning, the very first chain, as the base. So you're going to be wrapping the yarn around the hook insert into that very first chain. Make sure that you get 2 loops, as you can see, of that chain. And then you're going to pull up a loop. You don't have to stretch this loop too much. And then you're going to yarn over and pull through the first loop, keeping the last one on the hook. And now we can do the double crochet. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now this loop that it's right here at the beginning is the one that we are going to be using as the base for the foundation double crochet. So wrap the yarn around the hook, go into that loop, make sure that you get 2. There's 2 loops here at the bottom that you have to get. And then you're going to pull up a loop, leave it exactly like this, yarn over, pull through the first one, keeping the last one on the hook, and now you can do the double crochet. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So this is what you're going to be repeating until you have 9 double crochets, 9 stitches, also including the chain 3 that it's right at the beginning. And then here I have the last one. This is double crochet in stitch number 9. So this is how the foundation double crochet looks like. From here we can now move up. So we are going to be doing a chain of 1. That's how I like to go up into the next row. Turn project. So we are not counting the chain 1 that it's right at the beginning as a stitch. Into this very first stitch we are going to be creating an increase. So first create the first double crochet into that very first stitch, and then create another double crochet into that same stitch so that we can create an increase at the beginning. And now you're going to be following the stitches, creating double crochets all the way down. When you get here at the end, you're going to be having the chain 3 at the end, and into that chain 3, find a stitch, and then into this one, we are going to be creating an increase. So 2 double crochets into that last stitch. So increase at the beginning and at the end. So once you have the second row with increases, the following one we are going to be doing without increases, because we don't want to increase too much right at the beginning. We want kind of a little flow of increases. So just like this, we want to slowly increase to create the side of the bag at the top a little bit narrow, and then getting thicker and thicker as you go down. So for the third round, you're going to just chain 1, turn project, and into this very first stitch, instead of doing an increase, you're just going to be doing 1 double crochet. And then into the next stitch, 1 double crochet, and then 1 double crochet into every stitch going down, following what you have in the base. Once you get at the end, into that last stitch, you're just going to be doing 1 double crochet. And now for the next row, row number 4, we are going to be doing with increases. So chain 1, turn project, and into this very first stitch, create an increase, so 2 double crochets. And then now, following the stitches, going down, creating 1 double crochet into every stitch down. And then when you get into the last stitch, you're going to be doing an increase. So I'm going to be back with you when I'm right at the end. So I got here at the end. You will see that we have the chain 1 and then the stitch of the first double crochet. Just go into that stitch of the double crochet and create an increase. So 2 double crochets into that same stitch. So now I got into the sizing that I want for this shade. I'm going to chain 1, cut off the yarn, and fasten off. If you're not going to be changing the yarn, then don't fasten off, just carry on doing what I'm going to be showing you next with the next shade. Create a slip knot with the brown. So now attach this yarn right where you left off into that last double crochet stitch. So insert your hook into that, and then you're going to pull up a loop, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through 2. So I like to attach with a single crochet. Now I'm going to be turning, and I'm going to be using this single crochet as the chain 1 that we are doing for every row. So into this very first stitch, it's a little bit hidden just underneath right here. I'm going to be doing the first double crochet. So the previous row here was with increases, so this one is going to be without. So just going to the next stitch and 1 double crochet, and then 1 double crochet into every stitch going down. Remember that we did an increase here, so you have 2 stitches at the end. Make sure that you get both stitches. There you go. So now the next row will be with increases. So following the same steps as we did here, chain 1, turn project, double crochet into that very first stitch, and then another double crochet into the same stitch, so we create an increase, and now double crochet all the way down. So I got at the end, I have my last stitch, so into this last stitch, it's going to be an increase, so 2 double crochets into that last stitch. And now you're going to be doing the next row without any increases, and then the following one with increases. Once I have the next 2 completed, I will be back, and then I'm going to be showing you the next step. So as you can see, I've done the next 2, one without increase and one with increase. And into this very last row, we have 17 stitches. And that's the sizing for the rest of the side and the bottom of my bag. You can do more increases if you want to make the sides bigger and the bottom bigger too. So once you've done this, chain 1, cut off yarn and fasten off, and bring the next shade, in which I'm going to be using the purple. So create a slip knot and attach this yarn in place, exactly as we did to the changing of this one. So into the very last double crochet, attach with a single crochet, turn project, and then you go into double crochet into this very first stitch, and then you go into double crochet all the way down. So now we are going to be stopping with the increases. We are just going to double crochet back and forth until you have the length to cover both the sides and the bottom of your bag. So when you get at the end, you will have the last stitch. Make sure that you get the last stitch, stitch number 17, and double crochet. Now to go up, you're just going to be following the same steps. So chain 1, turn project, double crochet into the very first stitch, and then double crochet all the way down into every stitch, and then at the end chain 1, turn, and double crochet all the way down. So this is how it looks like once you have all the rows completed. I still have to do the decreases here, so it's exactly the same as the other side. So get the bottom of the bag, which is the bigger panel, and you're going to be folding where the flap is going to be, and then you're going to be placing, I'm going to just move this upwards, so we are just using the 3 rows here of squares. You're going to be placing exactly where you want this to go. So I'm going to be having still a little bit of space, as you can see. So here it's where this is gonna go. So it's going to be from this point all the way to the end of the yellow row here. And then from here, this is going to fold. And then you're going to be creating the bottom of the bag. So mine is going to be from the brown to the white. And then it's going to fold to the other side, and now we are going to be creating the rest of the side here. So in total, for one side to the other, it's going to be 64 rows, including here the decreases that I'm going to be doing with you now. And the thickness of this that we are doing now, it's also 6 centimeters, exactly the same as the squares of the bag. So yarn attached in place, you're going to be turning the project, and now we are going to be making a decrease at the beginning and at the end. So you're going to be creating the first part of a double crochet into the very first stitch, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through 2, keeping the last 2 loops on the hook, like this. And then you're going to be wrapping the yarn around the hook, going into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the next 2, keeping that last one on the hook. And then to create the decrease, you're going to yarn over and pull through all the 3 loops on the hook. So that's a decrease. And then from here, you're gonna go all the way down with double crochets following the stitches until you have 2 stitches left right at the end, so that we can also do another decrease. So now I have 2 stitches left, as you can see. So we are going to be doing a decrease here at the end. So you're going to be wrapping the yarn around the hook and pulling up a loop. So the first part of a double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2, keeping the last one on the hook. Wrap the yarn around the hook, go into the last stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, keeping that last one on the hook. Once you have the 3 loops on the hook, you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So decrease done here at the end. Now for the next row, we are going to chain 1, turn, and follow what we have into the base and creating double crochets. So the following one will be without any decreases. So once you did all the double crochets for the next row, chain 1, turn, and now we can do the next one, the following row, with decreases. So decrease into the next and the very first 2 stitches at the beginning, and then double crochet all the way down following the stitches until you have 2 stitches left. Decrease at the end into the last 2 stitches. And now for the following row, we are going to be doing without decreases. And then you're going to fasten off this shade, bring the last one, in which for me is the cream, right after the purple is the cream yarn. And then I'm going to be doing exactly the same. So create a slip knot and attach this yarn in place, turn project, and now you're going to be repeating the same steps. 1 row with decreases and 1 without, 1 with, 1 without, until you have 4 rows in total with the next shade. Once I have this completed, I will be back and then I'll show you how it looks like. And you should finish the last row exactly the same as the very first one with 9 stitches. So I'm done with row number 64, and here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 double crochets, and this last row was without decreases. The previous one was with decreases, and it's now exactly the same as the other side. And also don't fasten off right now, because we are going to be using this to attach the strap, one of the sides, into this part here. So to begin attaching this, one of the sides of the strap in here on top of the side of the bag, first you're going to chain 1, turn project, and then leave this right here, bring one of the sides, and you're going to be creating a chain around the strap first, like this. And then from here will be quite simple. You will see that the yarn, it's already inside the first loop. So now from here it's quite simple. Going to the first stitch you can find, you're going to then pull up a loop, and you're going to pull all the way up until you kind of passes this section of the loop of the strap, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through both loops. You see there will be 2 loops at the top, and then you're gonna go again, follow the same steps, going to the next stitch. You're going to pull up a loop and move all the way up, in which is going to be leveled with the other loops, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through both loops, and then you're going to be following this same step, going to the next stitch, pull up a loop all the way high, yarn over and pull through 2. And then do this until you have covered all the stitches that you have here in the base, all the 9 stitches. So now the last stitch, find that last stitch, pull up a loop nice and high, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through. So now we have the strap, one of the sides attached in place. Once you've done that, you can then chain 1, cut off yarn and fasten off. And with this yarn that is left here, I'm going to weave in here at the back. So now you bring the other side, and we are going to be attaching here the other side. I didn't leave enough yarn, so I'm going to be attaching a new one. So create a slip knot and attach that in place. And we can already start right here at the beginning. I will zoom in and show you. Make sure that the strap is nice and straight. So here is where I'm going to be attaching this side. Make sure that it's not twisted or anything like that. So attach this yarn on the right side into the very first stitch. Remember that we have to cover all the 9 stitches here. And now you can do exactly the same as you did to the other side. Bring the other side of the strap. Make sure that the yarn is at the back of the loop like this. You can see it's going around the back. And then chain 1. And now we can start the attaching. So once you have covered all the stitches and attaching with the other side of the strap, chain 1, cut off yarn and fasten off. So now here we have the straps now attached in place. A good thing is that we don't have to do this at the end. And once we attach the back and the front of the bag, it's basically completed, and then we just have to do the finishing details. So now we are going to be bringing the large panel. Let's move this to the side. So you want to place the bigger panel with the reverse on the outside, and then the right side is going to be facing the table, and then the wrong side of the side and the bottom of the bag will be going around like this. So now we have to choose exactly where the sides and the bottom will go so that we can sew this in place. First, we are going to be choosing this side exactly where it's going to go. So I'm going to be turning here on the side, and you're going to be placing this exactly where it's going to go. I want to do kind of halfway into this third square. So we have 1, 2, 3 into this one. The 2 rows at the top will be for the flap. So I'm going to be pinning this right in place, and you will see that this shade, the 4 rows that it's here, it's going to cover a little bit of the side and a little bit of the bottom. So the middle of this 4 rows will go right in the middle of the corner here, of the bottom of the bag. So make sure that you pin this in place right here. And then you fold going towards the bottom. So this is gonna go right here. So let's pin this in place. There we go. And now we can do the same to the other side. So first you're going to be matching exactly the side, exactly as we did to this other side. So place exactly into the same position. There we go. So it's going to be 4 sections and a half for the side. So the yellow is going to be the one that is going to be in the middle. So place that right in the middle into the corner. Going to just fold that in and pin this in place so that we know that that's what we are going to be sewing. So I'm going to be doing the single crochets from this side all the way to the bottom and the other side. So this side here, it's the right side when you look this way. So I'm going to attach my yarn here. You can choose now the shade that you want. I'm going to be doing with the beautiful mustard shade. So go ahead and create a slip knot with this shade. So find 2 stitches. I'm going to be removing here the pin. So you're going to be finding 2 stitches. I'm going to be doing into the second 3 groups of 3 double crochets, right into that very first double crochet, and then through just under the loops that we've created and attached the strap in place, any stitch you want. I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to go through both and single crochet. And now all you have to do is to grab 1 stitch of the squares and 1 stitch of the side of the bag and single crochet. Remember that we are doing the single crochets on the right side because that's the detail that we want on the outside. But you can do also any other joining sewing that you want. So 1 stitch of the squares, 1 of the side, and sew it together. So here you have to make sure that the squares will fit from this point all the way to the very first pin, in which is between these 4 double crochets, and the corner has to go right in between the 4 double crochets, right into this section here. When you get here in the joining of the 2 squares, you're going to be getting the chain 1 of the corner and a stitch of the side, and then single crochet, and then you're gonna get 1 stitch of the joining of the 2 squares. It can be any, and then 1 stitch of the side, go through and single crochet, and then again 1 stitch of the corner, the 1 chain space, and then 1 of the other side, and sew it together with the single crochet, and then go all the way down. So I got here right into the bottom of row number 18, and that's where we are going to be stopping the side and now move to the bottom of the bag here and following the same steps. When you get into the corner, the bottom corner, you're just gonna go into the corner and 1 stitch right in the middle, the bottom and the middle of row 18. Can be that stitch, and then you go into single crochet, and then from here you're going to be starting with the stitches. So 1 stitch of the squares and 1 of the bottom of the bag and single crochet, and then do this all the way down. You will probably have to skip 1 or 2 stitches to fit the side and the bottom of the bag, and that's completely fine if you have to skip a couple of stitches to make the bottom here fit the squares, because you want this to be nice and tight, and even if you have to skip stitches, it's not going to ruin the design of the bag. All right, so now the bottom of the bag is now attached in place. We are going to be now moving to the other side, and I'm going to be following the same steps for this side too. So once I have this side joined together all the way up, I will be back, and then we are going to be doing the next step. So I got here at the end of the side, as you can see. I'm just doing my last stitch. There we go. And then from here, you're going to be releasing the side, the strap, and we are going to be doing the finishing into the flap of the bag, just so that we can use the same yarn all the way around. So now from here, follow the stitches that you have with the same yarn, and we are going to be doing single crochet following the stitches. And that's all I'm going to be doing for the finishing. When you get into the joining, you're going to be doing a single crochet into the first corner, and then into the joining of the squares, into the next corner, and then from here you can just follow the stitches again. So I'm going to be doing here on the side of the flap, and then when I'm into the corner at the bottom, I will be back, and then I'll show you what you're gonna have to do when you get into the corner. So when you get into the corner, we are going to be doing 3 single crochets into the corner, and that's all. And then move to the other side and continue with the single crochets following the stitches. So now continue with the single crochets all the way across the bottom of the flap, the other side, and then I'll meet you when I'm here into the other side of the strap. So when you get towards the other side, you're just going to carry on with your single crochets until you find the single crochets back again. Just go into the very first single crochet, and then you go into a slip stitch, chain 1, then you can cut off the yarn and fasten off. So So now this is how it looks once we've added the back of the bag and the sides and the bottom. And when you fold it, this is how it looks with the single crochet detail. Now we are going to be bringing the smaller panel and we are going to be sewing and joining exactly the same as we did with the bottom. We are going to be pinning first in place so that we know exactly from where to where we have to sew. So I'm going to be adding the corners first. And then the sides. And here for the side, you want to make sure that you do exactly the same as you did for the back of the bag. I'm going to be leaving this little space here at the top. So pin this right here. And then the same here to the other side. Also make sure that the wrong side of the squares are towards the inside of the bag and you have the right side here on the outside. So for the back of the bag, we have started on the left side with the single crochets and went all the way to the right side. But now for the front of the bag, we want to start and attach the yarn here, and then we want to crochet down, bottom, and the other side, because then the single crochets will be on the right side and it's going to maintain the squares nice and flat. You will see what I mean. So remove this pin, attach this yarn in place exactly where you did to the back and then to that very beginning of the side, and then single crochet. And now you're going to be following the same steps as you did for the back. One stitch of the squares and one stitch of the side and sewing the two together. I'm going to be doing all the way around. You already know how to do this, so I'm going to be doing this off the camera. Once I have this sewn in place, I will be back and then we are going to be doing the next step. So once the front of the sewing it's completed, also I've added here a snap fastener. I've decided to go for snap fasteners instead of the magnet, so I'm going to be adding the other one here on the other side and then I'll show you that later. But for now I just want to finish the top of the front of the bag here, because we are going to be attaching the corners into the bag to the back of the bag, so it has a nicer finishing at the top, and also so that this part is not going to be flappy like this. From here, following the same steps as we did for the flap of the bag, create single crochets up to the corner. So just following the stitches and creating single crochets. So now when you get into the corner, create one single crochet, and then you're going to be bringing the back of the bag into the corner. You're just going to find a single crochet into that corner. It can be any. And then you're going to be making a slip stitch. And then from here, you can carry on with the single crochets at the top of the granny squares. Find the first stitch, single crochet, and then single crochet all the way down. So when you get into the next corner, create a single crochet into the corner, make sure that the strap is on the outside, find the corner at the back, matching the same square as here at the front, choose one stitch close to that corner, and then slip stitch. And now from here, just finish it off with single crochets down until you find the first single crochet. Go ahead and go into that first single crochet, slip stitch, chain one, cut off yarn, and weave this yarn in. So now here we have basically the bag completed. I just have to do the lining and attaching the other snap fastener here on the other side. And if you want, you don't need to add a lining, but because it's a granny square, it has little holes all the way around the bag. I think it's better to add a lining rather than leaving it like that. But if you don't mind, if you're going to be placing large things inside the bag, then that's completely fine. You don't really need a lining. First, before we add the lining, we have to add the snap fastener. Make sure that you know exactly how it's placed here, and that's exactly how you're going to be sewing. I'm going to be doing the pointy part at the bottom, and then the round, the one that it snaps into, I'm going to be putting here at the top. So first you're going to be attaching the thread in place. You can do the sewing as you wish. I'm going to be doing a little time lapse of me sewing this so you know how to do the sewing of the snap fastener, but it's super simple. You just have to go around the little holes around the fastener and sew that in place, and you should be good to go. Once you're happy, take the thread to the inside of the bag, and then you can fasten off here at the back. Now make a knot at the end of the thread and attach the other side to the flap of the bag. Once it's done, you can then snap both sides and it should work. So that's what I've decided to do instead of the magnet. So now let's do the lining of the bag. First, you're gonna get the fabric you are using and you're going to be folding it in half, as you can see, making sure that you have a nice and folded part here at the bottom so that we can use this already as the bottom of the lining. And then you're going to be placing the bag right on top, making sure that you fold the sides and the bottom too so that we can get these parts to be on the lining too. And then with your fabric pen, you're just gonna trace the side here because the other side is already close to the edge of the fabric, so we don't need that. And then you just want to mark exactly where you have to cut. Make sure that you leave a little bit of seam allowance, 1.5 centimeters on both sides, about here. And now we can just go ahead and cut all the lines. So make sure that you turn the fabric on the reverse, so the right side is here on the inside. And the first thing we have to do is to sew both sides close. So now we are going to be making the bottom here. So to do the bottom, we first have to just fold into a triangle like this, the bottom, and we have to measure 6 centimeters, in which is the thickness of the bottom of the bag. So you're gonna be measuring here until you have 6 centimeters. So that's where you have to do the sewing of the bottom. So you can see that 6 centimeters. Just mark that, and that's where you have to do the sewing. I'm going to be putting this in place so it's not going to be moving around. And then you have to do the same to the other side. Fold it. So I just open the sides and it kind of automatically folds in place. Measure the 6 centimeters and trace it down. So that's where you have to do the sewing. Now pin this in place and do both of these sewings for the bottom of the bag. So now the lining is now completed. You can always cut these little flappy things at the bottom. I like to leave them just so that it's not gonna come undone. I just prefer leaving just for more security reasons, but you can always cut them off if you want. So go ahead and place the lining inside the bag. And then you're going to be folding as much as you need towards the inside of the bag, as you can see. And you're going to be folding and pinning this in place. Make sure that it's right at the bottom of the bag first before you start folding. And now here it's where we can pin. So pin all the way around. So once you have pinned all the way around, we can now start the sewing. I'm going to be doing double thread on my needle because I think that's stronger than single thread. Make a knot right at the end. So choose where you want to start. I'm going to be doing here. So just go through the lining. Okay. So that the knot is on the inside of the bag. And then all you have to do is to grab a little bit of the crochet and a little bit of the lining and sew the two together. A little bit of the crochet, a little bit of the lining, and sew the two together. And that's all you're going to be doing all the way around. So I'm getting here now towards the end with my sewing. So excited! The bag is now completed! Oh my goodness! I'm so excited! I'm going to now fasten off and cut off my yarn. This fabric, it's actually so good because the fabric is so thick. It gives support to the bag, to the crochet bag. So this is absolutely amazing. Check this out. It's actually standing. No way. And it's just because of the fabric, and I cannot even believe. And the strap, I just think it goes really well with the shades of the bag, with the squares. It's a perfect match, actually. I really like it. I love how colorful this bag is. Also, the strap looks so nice from the side. I love this detail so much. The other side as well. So what do you think about this bag? I'm really impressed. I'm absolutely in love with this bag. I really love how it turned out. I love the style. This is it, everyone. This is how to make a very simple and easy and beautiful at the same time granny square bag. I really hope you guys have enjoyed. Let me know in the comments if you did. Also, if you did enjoy, don't forget to leave your massive thumbs up as you always do, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So thank you so much again for watching. I really hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm absolutely amazed by this bag, and yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye bye.